Thank you very much for being here today. Good morning. Good morning to Finland. Good morning to Norway. And good morning to everybody in Germany who is now at home and is taking part in the conference. The Spanish group will join us later, so they will not be here in this first phase of our conference, but they have sent me a film which I will show you later. But first of all, yes, I would say I'm very happy that we are meeting here in this online conference together. And yes, we are going to have 3 days of finals where the students can show their achievements. And yeah, we would have met originally in Dortmund last May in the summer, and that would have been nice as well. And we could have had a nice week together, working in the workshop together. But now we have to do everything online. But on the other hand, our main aim in this project was to enhance the students' ICT competences originally. And this is what they're doing now, even more than if we had met in Dortmund. So the first group, the Finnish group, please show us what you have prepared under this question. How far did we get?
Morning. Good morning, everyone. Today we have the robot picking up some objects in the classroom floor. Mr. Ollas here is controlling the robot via telephone. Ollas, show us the thing. Can you see the robot?
Yes, I can see. Ah, yeah, okay. Yes,
yeah,
I can see. Okay, so can you put this on full screen?
So there is an app for this robot and other classmates are using it and they are controlling the robot by the app. Joo. Joo.
Niin se olisi niin kuin tärkeämpää näyttää noita keskenään. Toi on tommonen ready. Niin...
Olisit mä otan mutelle siksi aika hyvä. No mä se sanon niillä, että ei kun tosta pystyt laittaa. So here in the table we have parts of the robots, and in these next 3 days we are going to build some of our own robots from these parts. Mitä me noista sensoreista painat?
Kokeillaan.
We are trying some sensors in the robots. Any questions?
So you have decided for a track chassis, I can see. Why did you choose this type of chassis?
We don't have own production in the metal industry, so we take this what we can take. These robots are bought from China.
Is there anything that you want to add, or what your students want to add to this robot? We know that we have a real presentation of what it can do at the end on Wednesday. This is to talk about the state of the art. Okay. Yeah. So if your students want to say anything else, or then
the main student who knows a lot about this stuff is not here, so I think we can hear from him more when he arrives.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next group is the Norwegian group. So please be so kind as to explain to us how far did you get in the project.
All right. So good morning from Norway. My name is Svolvær, and I've been a teacher in this project the whole time. I will just do a brief introduction before the students will continue the presentation. So basically, we started up in Norway in this project to figure out what we're going to work with. And we met in Fuerteventura, learned a lot of technical things, knowledge, and we met in Germany, where we started to work on the concept, which was a concept we couldn't continue working in Finland, and were also the starting point for this group, Basically, we changed the group 3 times, and the group, the team now, has been working on this since October last year.
And actually, we have 3 students from the last group here
Yes.
with us today.
We also have 3 students from the last group, which were in Germany and Finland, and some were also in Fuerteventura.
Yeah.
You were not Joad, no? No. All right, so this was actually the starting point for this new team, which started in October. We had a rough concept, which we had tested a bit, and we had a robot with some sensors and drivetrain and Arduino and all that stuff. So we was able to program and move, but we didn't. We never had a chance to build this together and make a complete solution, and that was this team. This team that worked on it now was their object to do.
Philip.
Nei da, bare sitt der og prate, du på sammen.
Okay. Yes, to start off, we can talk about the coding part. We had one person that was working on the code the whole time. The code did go as planned in the start. Then we had to assemble it to the robot, and we had some problem with turning and driving part of the robot. But our good programmer did make it in the end. So yes, the mechanical design. We used a lot of time to get the mechanical parts so we can assemble it to the case, because we had to print it many times to make it fit to the robot. But we made it work at the end. Yes. Assembly and testing. We did assemble and test the whole way from where we started in October, and we are quite happy with the ending result.
It is roughly over timeline for this work with this robot. We took over this work in October 2020 and start with very plain to understand this robot and this project. In November, we start to learning basic coding and working with coding on the Christmas. After Christmas, we start design and print of all these parts. We ended this project with assembly and testing of the robot.
For the software part of the robot, we use Arduino IDE. We started with some basic training to learn more about Arduino IDE. The basic training consisted of making lights blink. After we had a basic understanding of the coding language, we started to code the program for the steering. We had many different ideas how to make the turning for the belts work, but we also had many different problems. But after much trial and error, it finally worked.
Project mechanical design. When designing the mechanical parts of the robot, we had to think about the form and the function of them, and make sure that they fit where they should and that they had enough space, for example. We also had to think about the strengths. If something was too thin, it wouldn't be strong enough to hold what we wanted it to do, and we also had to think about the time to print, since we all often had to print things 2 times, and things take a long time to pretty print when they're thick. We had to make the ramp and the sidewalls fit the robot, and also not to be too steep for the trash to get inside the robot. The brush had to be flexible enough to pick the trash up, but not too weak to hold them up, and the motor also had to be strong enough to push them up the ramp. The box for electronics had to have enough space while also fitting on the robot, and we also had to make a spoiler where antenna would transmit to the FPV goggles. And the camera mount also had to be mounted and reach all the parts that it was supposed to reach.
Yeah, we have run some tests on the robot along when we have built it. Of course, as we said, we have some problems. The robot won't go backwards when we fix that problem. It won't turn right or left. The last couple of weeks, we have focused on the brush and make that good enough to work. We have focused on the finish on the robot and then taken our final tests. Any questions?
So we say thank you from Norway. Any questions from here?
Okay, thank you very much. I think, yes, you had an especially difficult situation because the group of students changed and you had to start from scratch, like from October, you had to start with the whole project again, and only some were continuously in your group. So yes, I think this is quite a challenge that we always have at school, that students leave the school and new students are coming, and especially in Corona times where this whole project was now prolonged for 6 months, we had a totally different student situation. But I think you've done a really great job dealing with all these aspects that we decided to have to be worked on in this project, and you've dealt with all of them. And as we said at the beginning, it doesn't matter whether we've get it all done, totally done, finish it, but all the processes of working with it and building it and coding and just making decisions are very, very important. So thank you very much for your presentation of the state of the art, so what you have reached by now. And yeah, thank you very much. If there are any other questions, maybe from other students, please feel free to ask. So if there are no more questions, then we can have a look at the film that the Spanish team has sent me.
Hi everyone, we are Jorge and Faith, and we are going to explain to you the development of the project during this 3.5 years from the Spanish team side.
Well, as you may know, in 2017, the first members traveled to Norway. Patricia, Bea, Marina, and Marta went there and began the international relationship with the rest of the high schools. In Norway, they decided to make international teams, dividing the girls and boys. It was the beginning of the project, and they had made some important decisions that will affect the future of the project. Since the start of the project, we have lost some members, like the 4 girls, Alejandra, Francisco, Nerea, Raúl, and Castro. But new ones join us, reinforcing the team. In the beginning, we were working in international teams, as you must know, but later we decided to work in national teams because of the circumstances. During these years, we have met once a week and used classes from tech subjects to work on the project. But during the pandemic, we couldn't find a way to work, so we have to wait until the start of the new school year to start to work again once a week, 1 hour, to finish the project.
Hi, I'm Yara Dos Santos, and right now I'm going to explain to you how we divide the tasks and manage the hours of work in these organization chats. As we can see, we have 5 principal tasks, which are fabrication, marketing, social media, administration support, and ITC. First, as we can see in the fabrication part, we have inside of these 4 principal tasks, and the responsible person of each task is for design, construction, program, and control evaluation. Are from the robot 1, Sergio, Jorge, and Juan Carlos, and from the robot 2 are Hugo, Shen, and Ivan. The responsibles for the use of recycled material are Kevin and Pablo. The responsible to purchase materials is Irma, and the responsibles for the playground and objects are Maya and Adrian. Their other tasks are marketing, which consists in designing the banners and t-shirts. Another task was social media. There was 3 responsibles in this area, which were Kevin, Nicole, and Inma. The administration support was held by Raquel, and the ITC by Maya and Adrian. In the next organization chart, we can see the details of the task held by each person. Inma was responsible for the edition of the videos of the meetings. Sergio, Jorge, and Juan Carlos are responsible for the design, assembly, and programming for the Robot 1, and for the Robot 2, Hugo, Shen, and Ivan were the responsibles. Adriana and Kevin are responsible for finishing the rocks and play surface. Pablo was responsible for the use of recycled materials in the robots. Cristina was responsible for the design of the panel and t-shirts. Adriana and Maya were responsible for the ITC, and Nicole and Nairan are responsible for recording and photography of the activities of the project.
Since we have decided to work in national teams, we have been researching and looking for different systems of collection and control for the robot. Regarding the system of collection of the trash, we have chosen 2 options, which were a grapher and a shovel. About the system of control of the robot, we have struggled to decide how to control the robot. So we decided to build each robot with a different system. One will be controlled with Bluetooth, and the other one will use infrared sensors. Since we have decided to build 2 robots, we split into 2 teams. The first group was formed by Sergio, Jorge, and Juan Carlos that will build the Robot 1 controlled by infrared sensors that will use the shovel. The other group was formed by Hugo, Shen, and Ivan that will build the Robot 2 controlled by Bluetooth and use the grapher. While these teams were focusing on building their respective robots, Adrian, Maya, and Kevin were making the ropes, cylinders, and the playground.
Well, from the spinning team side, we would like to thank you for the experience we have learned during these years. It was a pleasure to meet all of you and work with all of you. Also, we would like to thank you for letting us take part of this great project. Hopefully, we will see each other again in the future. And until then, take care and goodbye.
Bye.
Yes, thank you very much, Gisle. I think you have now managed to show this film. It was you. Thank you very much. Yeah, very interesting. I think it's interesting to see that there were different options that the students dealt with, and so they dealt with two different ways of picking up this this object. And we already saw when we were in Finland that this gripping arm is a very complex and very difficult solution. So I understand that, and the steering of the robot is another challenge. And I think it's great what these students have done by dealing with these different options of controlling the robot. Yeah, thank you very much. Are there any questions that you would like to ask?
Now I have a reflection to the Spanish video. The background music is good. It matches with the video too, and that's very nice.
The music.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Sovakan. Okay.
You're
I will
welcome.
tell the students who have made this video, Sheng and Jorge, you have seen them at the beginning of the video and at the end, and I will tell them. Okay.
Well, if there are no more questions, then we can have a look at the German film, because the German students have also produced a little film, and Susanne Rielager is showing this now to us, to all of us.
Hello.
So, are you seeing the
Dorothee,
video?
Leila, Sovakan, and Finn would like to show you a short video about the travels of the
Yes,
four
we can see.
schools from Norway, Finland, Spain, and Germany, and the development
Do
of
you
the
see
robot.
something?
Shows first our begins with Arduino.
Yes.
After
Yes.
that trip to Fuerteventura. Next, briefly explain the morphological box and the visit to Germany. Then there are our models and the trip to Finland. Finally, there is the work under corona conditions and the completion. We learned to program with Arduino and made our first driving tests with the robot.
As part of the project, Sovakan, Lucas, Rafif and I traveled to Fuerteventura. There we learned the basics of programming. For this, one of the programmers from Arduino came and developed a control unit for a computer game with us. We
Susanna,
also
we
learned
don't see it.
so that we could program the robots there. We also worked with technical clauses to understand how to bring together different functions like light and sound. The last day on Fuerteventura, we supported a project that fights for clean beaches. We helped the members of the project collect rubbish on a stretch of beach in order to be able to understand what our robot has to be able to do. It was a very nice week in which we all learned a lot about programming and about rubbish on beaches. At school, we create a morphological box for the robot by collecting ideas on where the battery is best stored, where the wheels are placed, or what the shape of the base plate should look like. We also collect various ideas for collecting and storing the collected rubbish.
The students from Norway, Finland and Spain arrived in Dortmund in Germany. On Saturday, 4th May 2019, we met them at Westfalen Park to get to know the students from Norway, Finland and Spain. The next day, we went to the IML laboratory at Technische Universität Dortmund. Furthermore, we visited the DASA. The principal welcomed the students from Norway, Finland and Spain, and the students from BVB class guided them through the school. We had a robotic workshop, and we heard a discussion about scheme for integration of refugees and including approach through project work. We presented our cardboard prototype. After the presentation, we talked about how to improve the communication between students from the different countries.
The film is frozen.
We made a trip to Paderborn, and we visited Nixdorf IT Museum and the historical town Soest.
Our first idea was to construct a gripper arm which specifically drives the garbage and collects it. The second model was a travel. Since there are also broken fishing nets on the beach, we spoke about fishing the garbage. We wanted to put a net at the back of the robot, similar to what fishing boats do with their fishing nets. We had the idea of a shovel with a lifting mechanism that goes under the garbage, lifts it up, and unloads it in a container. Our guests from Norway brought us to our final idea to build a brush. When considering how to implement this idea, we had to think of the sweepers, which also use brushes to collect the garbage on the streets.
We and the Norwegian students arrived in Kotka on the evening of January 26, and on this day we just unpacked our stuff and made a little presentation round and played a few games where we got to know each other better. On the second day we first discussed the plan for the day and did a little workshop where we presented our plans for the robot. Then we went into the city together and did some sightseeing, and the Spanish students arrived on the evening. On the next day, we first exchanged some information, made an official opening of the meeting. Then we finally worked on the robots on mixed groups. On Wednesday, the fourth day, we visited the EKAMI Kotka campus and had a little workshop in soldering. On the fifth day, we drove to the EKAMI Hamina campus and presented our robot and our project, and in the noon, we worked in groups again. On our sixth day, we talked about our next meeting and what our aims are. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to the Norwegians on that day who already had to leave. In the evening, we visited a museum and then let the day end together in the sauna like the days before. And then on February the 1st, we had to say goodbye to each other because the Spanish students and us had to go home. And the last thing to say is that this journey was a very fun and the group dynamic was great.
Apart from the trip to Finland, 2020 played a decisive role. The government reimbursed the entry and exit restrictions for that year, and the project participants had to stay home. As a result, most of the project participants couldn't go to school and they couldn't work on the robot from March until the summer vacation. Due to the mask requirements and the distance rules, we were able to work among the students from the project participants from the same school after the summer vacation. Despite the corona conditions, we managed to hold a video conference with the Norwegian students who are also a part of the project. During the video conference, we exchanged information about the intuitive results of the robot. Finally, we learned how to communicate with people digitally. This memory will follow us in our life.
Susanna, thank you very, very much for presenting this really nice video. And I think the students have also done a really good job. And we can say whether they are showing live what they have done so far, like the Norwegian team and the Finnish team, or whether they are showing a film. I think the students have really learned so much and have done so many decisions they've taken. They've built the robots parts and they have done coding and they've dealt with all kinds of forms of ICT communication. I think that's really brilliant. So the Spanish team had originally produced a video clip on safety instructions for working with robots, because we all know that a robot is an electronic device, and you have to be careful with it, the way you use it, the way you store it, the way you, the way you treat it, and what you have to do yourself in order to protect yourself when you're working with such systems, especially when they are big automated systems in big storage houses like Amazon or other other big places where things are, like in a warehouse where things are stored. But this film, unfortunately, is not finished yet. So we have changed the plan, Ken and I, and the students, the German students, actually reminded me of the fact that we have also produced 4 interesting schemes to support our students. This was something that the teachers, in cooperation with the students, had developed, and I will now show you these 4 schemes, and we can discuss them as well, because we have discussed it with the students originally, but then the teachers made these schemes. So maybe now it's a very good opportunity to discuss them with the students again. So now I'll show you them now, as this was a very quick decision to show these schemes. It's not a PowerPoint presentation, but it's a shared document. Okay, so we had 4 different groups of students that we wanted to support, especially support. We know that the first group are girls, because we know that girls generally in technical professions or more science-orientated fashions are underrepresented. These jobs are usually, or studies at university are usually done by young men and not so much by women. So when you were in Fuerteventura, you also discussed the subject matter of girls in technical jobs and in so-called STEM jobs, which are science, technology and engineering jobs, just as well as mathematics. And yes, as far as I have learned from you and the scheme that you developed among the teachers together with the help of the students, is that are different factors, different aspects that have to be considered if we want more women, or if we want to support more girls and women in these kinds of jobs. For example, there are always 2 sides to the same medal. For example, when it comes to laws and authorities, there are also ways in which laws and authorities or institutions can help to support women, to support employing women, so that more women will be in the jobs, and so that people get used to the idea that women are also doing these kinds of jobs in technology just like men. And this is the one side, are the laws and the authorities. But on the other hand, we also have this support by like Girls' Day or similar activities that are being carried out in different countries to show, to motivate first of all, and also to show young girls that they can just as well as men work in these kinds of jobs and have fantastic qualifications in the so-called STEM jobs or STEM subject matters. The next aspect is education. Of course, we as teachers have a great influence on how, or I hope we have some influence, but we have a great influence, I think, on supporting students and giving them the courage to learn things that they haven't experienced before. And so on our part, or our role is that we support girls by better methodologies. Maybe the methods have to be improved to integrate girls more into these technical courses, and that we can also form groups so that boys and girls can work together in these subject matters and teach each other. And yes, and we also have other students who give an example to younger female students, like we did in the project when we introduced these 2 girls who are working in the car technology department and are doing body work or car technology themselves, and we uploaded the films. So these role models, and teaching those role models and showing our students these role models could be another way in which we can support girls in STEM professions in the field of education. Then there's the society. Of course, we watch films, we look at advertising, we see a lot of women and men in media, and this also, of course, gives us an impression of how women and men should be. And so media has quite a lot of influence on young people. And I think if we take the opportunity to publish and to show different girls or women in these jobs as well, working together with men and not only men, which is the usual, maybe the usual way these jobs are presented. Then we can also support girls to follow these dreams and to believe in the fact that it's possible to also learn a job or to study something that was originally a typical male or masculine job or something like this. Yeah. So these are the three fields that can be influenced by us if we publish more ideas about women in STEM jobs, if we consider more the ways and the methods that we use in education to support girls and motivate them for these subject matters, and at the most important point on top here of this scheme is that we need, of course, laws and authorities that support it, publicity. We need institutions who support girls and give them the same chances at universities or so, or in their jobs later on, as for boys. Okay, I think we can, I will stop here for a while before we talk about the next scheme. And I would like to ask the students, what do they think about the way girls can be supported to be more motivated to study something that has something to do with technology and natural science? Do you think the scheme makes some sense that we have produced here as among teachers? Does that help?
Oh, I think it's great, but the girls have to want, because there are so much boys, so that the girls sometimes do not want it because they are scared about this.
Yes, that's very true. But do you think schools can help that girls lose the fear of dealing with these subject matters? Do schools have an influence?
Only a little bit. The girls have really to want this because they don't go to schools with technical things, because they are scared about this, and then the schools cannot help them when they are not go to the schools.
We can help a little bit to reduce their fear and support them when they have decided to do such a job or to go such a school like you do. And thank you very much. You're right. That's a good point. Of course, girls have to want this, right?
Is the situation different in Norway or Finland? Could maybe some of the Norwegian or Finnish students say something to that? Because in Germany, we always look to the Scandinavian countries as a kind of role model that women tend to be more in the technical professions than they do in Germany. Could you maybe say something to that? That would be really interesting.
I think it depends on where in the education system you're looking at.
Da bin ich wieder. Ich brauche noch einen kleinen Augenblick. Ich muss auch gerade eine E-Mail verschicken im Hintergrund.
In this project, we have only had 2 girls in an early phase, and they quit for other reasons than the project. But traditionally, we have few girls in this program in the school. And do you students have any ideas of why there are so few girls to choose this program at school? But at the university level, I think there are more women now choosing technology studies, etc. So this is not really the typical picture from Norway, I think. But we are a bit out in the outskirts, far away from the big cities, and it could be some cultural things that affect how the young people choose what to do at school, etc.
Yes, that's right. I think cities and areas with towns and smaller towns are quite different, I think, in this respect. And to really make a real statement about the amount of people or amount of women who study something technical at university, we should really have a look there. We can't, of course, have a representative survey now going on. But I think these fears or the lack of interest in these jobs could really be changed or reduced by the way these subjects are presented and also the way they are presented at school. And maybe our scheme that we have developed here can help a little bit enhancing or increasing the number of young girls who want to do something in this area. What about Finland? What about Finland? How is the interest in technical jobs in girls in Finland?
Okay. Usually I have in my class 1, 2, 3 girls per year. And the level has been same many years. So more interesting, I don't know, maybe, but in university I think there is more interest for women and girls at the moment here in Finland.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
I think we have this same as Finland. Also, we are a traditional vocational school, and I don't think the girls who are studying technology later are not taking vocational skills in forehand.
Ah, okay, that's right. Yeah, that's quite rare. I think in car technology we have quite a few girls who are doing an apprenticeship. But you are right. On the level of university, this is probably different, and in a vocational school with a technical focus, it's not that many girls there. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, thank you very much. So then we had another scheme that we talked about. That was the scheme to reduce truancy, meaning that we want to have more students coming to school regularly. And we all know that some students don't come to school regularly, or they just leave school without a qualification. And that's a big problem because these intelligent and intelligent young people ruin their lives if they just leave school without qualifications or don't come regularly. And we talked about the way how to support them, and the basic idea that we got for this scheme here came from Norway, and there is the list of things that you do in Norway to reduce truancy. And I will just pick out some 2-3 things which I think are very interesting and very special. We also try to do this, but I think the way you have perfected this scheme is something that really inspired us. And this is having a very close contact to the students and immediately asking why a student isn't come to this school, having a close contact to the parents, and reacting really fast to this absence and being there on the ball when you can see that a student is gradually pulling himself or herself out of the school. And I think this schedule that you introduced from your school, from the Aust-lofoten videregående skole, is really great. And on the basis of these activities, we produced the scheme here. And we said there are about 4 aspects of 4 groups groups of people who are very involved and have to be, 4 different aspects that we have to consider. And one is having a close connection to the family. Yes, and this is easier possible in a smaller town, but we still also, of course, try to get this close contact to family members and see what's going on, because if they support you, the school and the teachers, it's much easier to also motivate the student. Then it's more a type of teachers, so teachers who demand things like we did here in this project. We demanded a lot of knowledge and skills and a lot of work and commitment from all of you. And I think this is also a good way to raise students' self-esteem and to make them believe in themselves and knowing what they can really achieve in life. And this is, of course, very important in order to keep students motivated to go to school. Then, relationship between teacher and students is very important. Of course, there must be trust and understanding and also mutual respect. Otherwise, there cannot be a relationship that is fruitful for students to take part in school and to successfully finish school with a good qualification. And the last point, and I hope that we have really hit this mark with this project that we're doing, is teaching interesting contents and project works and to support the creativity of the students. And this is what I will ask in a minute. I hope that this project has really contributed to a more interesting school activity, and this project work, I hope, has really supported your creativity and motivation. Could someone, please, of the students tell us whether this is true? Has this project work supported your creativity and has it motivated you more to go to school than normal? Please tell me your ideas about that.
The project was a really nice idea, in my opinion. Like, with all the things we can do and the creativity, it was one of the things that was really fun to do in school, and that's why it also is a reason to why I wanted more to go to school, especially on days where we had to build that robot. And I participated in this project with passion, and I'm thankful for participating in this project too. That would be everything from me.
Wow, thank you very much. That sounds really good. Thank you, Justin, for giving us your impression here. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you. So you really enjoyed being in the project. That's great to hear. What about the other students?
So Svolvær Khan wants to say something.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Thank you. For my opinion, despite of the corona condition, I learned about human knowledge. About international students from the other countries. I learned so many things about these students, and I also have to say that I learned so many different types of way of thinking of these students, and I have to say it supports me for my future job, and as an engineer. I want to become as an engineer, and I like this project, and that's the right reason. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much, Svolvær Khan, for your opinion. Great. We have to say thank you to Susanne Rielage because she has done this whole robot course and she has taught all the students all the technical things and the planning and the decision-making processes and everything. Thank you very much. So we are on the right way with these kinds of projects. That's obvious. So what about the Finnish and Norwegian team? Do you also want to say something about the project? I know the Norwegian group hasn't been with that project for such a long time, and there was no traveling and some very important aspects of this project that we couldn't do because of Corona. But maybe you can still say something about this as well, if you like.
So Halvor, you raised your hand.
All right, so I'm from Norway. One of the students would like to say some words, just a few words.
I like the work process, very good. It motivated me to go to school. I'm not such a big fan of the industrial part of the school, but I'm really liking the technical parts. So this motivated me very much. I have been the main coder, and I have been working one-on-one with one of the teachers to learn as much as possible about the code. And this is something I would like to work as in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. So this hasn't only motivated you students to go to school more and to involve in the project, it has already helped you to find your job or the direction in which you want to develop yourself, like being an engineer, and it has given you it has given you lots of skills and ideas which you can use in your future jobs. I think that's fantastic. Thank you very much for your estimation here, for your words. Thank you. Feel free to say something.
Okay, I will say something if I can. Can I?
Yes, you're not a student. You may say something.
This was good for us, this project, because our old robots were old-fashioned robots, what we had here in Kotka. They used this old DOS programming systems, and they was rubbish. And we got a new level after this. We started this robot project, and we got this Arduino systems now in daily process here in Kotka. And for us, this was good, this project.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Kari. So it also has an influence on your school and the equipment in your school. And I think it also has an influence on our school, because this fantastic project that and robot course that Susanna Rielage has done with the students will be repeated and repeated. And I'm sure we will have now this implemented it totally in our school curriculum. Okay, so there was another scheme that we developed as teachers. And that was a scheme to support weaker students. I have to go down a little bit before that, because it bases on this ladder, or on this diagram here, the 3 levels of the Finnish school, the EKAMI school, where we find a general support for all students. And then if there are some students who need more intensive support, then they get a pedagogical assessment and a learning plan. And those students who need more special support, they also get an individual plan, and they have 2 teachers and pedagogues and who are working with them to reach their aims. And I think that was a fantastic diagram, a fantastic concept and scheme that the Finnish school is already carrying out. And we integrated this into our scheme from all different schools. So we have decided that it's very important to have a development like in this circle is showing here. At the beginning, we have an analysis. So what are the aims of the students? Where does he or she want to get? And where are the skills? And what are the capabilities and the competences? And then we can see from this hierarchy of support that I have just shown you how intensive the support has to be. And as a consequence of that, then these different... Can you please switch your microphone off? There's somebody's talking. I don't know the voice, a German voice there. Thank you. Okay, so all people are working together, like teachers and people who support the students are working together with the student. This is the interconnectedness. There are different methods of support that we want to integrate more to help weaker students. Like, for example, cooperation helping schemes, tutorial schemes, and things like this. Then we wanted to integrate more supportive teaching methods. Because we know that, of course, different teaching methods lead to more integration and more activity of the students or by the students. And this also helps then to develop in the direction they want to develop. And then we go back to the point of analysis where we see how the student has developed and how we can then further support the student. Maybe this intensive support is not necessary anymore, and they can go down in the hierarchy of support and have more general support. So this is what we also produced together, this survey of how to support weaker students. And I will, before I ask you what you think about it, I will go down to the last scheme that we dealt with. And this was a scheme to include refugee students, because sometimes students from other countries, from Europe or even other countries who come into our countries, also have similar difficulties getting on at school and reaching their aims as the students who are weaker students in general. Okay, so we have here, on the basis of the Dortmund concept, I'm just scrolling this down, on the basis of the Dortmund concept, where of course students are also guided in their career ideas and their career wishes and dreams. This is how it all starts. Then this will be then put into carried into the schools, and there we have international classes, and then we have international classes with intensive language instruction at the beginning, and the better the students can speak the language, the easier it is to integrate them into different classes, which are not especially for refugees. And we also have a scheme to support teachers and to do additional projects, which of course cost money, and therefore we have fundraising ways from the council. And like this project as well, we also got money because we were taking students who are refugees in our countries into the project and taking them to our meetings as well. So these two concepts, which are usually, maybe there's one important point that I have to add, is vocational education in Dortmund or in Germany is a big focus, because we think that that the way to reach your aim for a profession gives you a good aim. You know what you want to be, and you can be supported in an apprenticeship to find that way and to go that way. And therefore, we are working very close with companies who then, with the school together, make the apprenticeship for our students, because they go to work 2 days a week and they have school 3 days a week at a vocational college. And we think that this cooperation between practical work in a company and the work at school together gives especially young people who have come to Germany from other countries a good perspective to find the right job and to go the right career path they want to do. So in the end, this goes back to this point here, because this is general for all students who need some support because they're either new in our country and don't know yet how to find their path, and other students who need more support in going this path that they have found to go. Okay, so my last question. With these concepts about how to support students from other countries who are refugees and weaker students, where do you see the main impact on students? Do you think it's the peer group of the students, like their friends and classmates, or do you think it's the teachers, or do you think it's these supportive institutions who help you to find a job, like the job office and things like this? So who has the biggest impact on the success of a student who needs some more support? Tell me, what do you think, students? You now can tell us how to do it rightly.
Susanne, I think we have to excuse the German students. They have only about a 10 minutes break till the next lesson. So I told them that they are excused if they want to leave. So I'm not quite sure who wants to participate any further.
Okay, maybe Hajin can say something. If she's still in the conference, I can't see. Is she still there? Because she had some internet problems as well.
I'll have a look. She was there all the time, actually.
Ah.
No, unfortunately, I don't. Oh, yes, she is there. She's there. I just put her microphone on. Maybe then she can hear us.
Hello.
Hello, Hajin. Hello, Hajin. It's nice to hear your voice.
Thank you. I can say that it depends on students. And the more important thing, I think it is also family, not just a teacher or friends, because sometimes when someone, girl or boy, they have to do something, but the first they have to ask their parents or family. That's why I think family also can help their children to do what they want.
Yes, that's a good point. Thank you very much, Hajin. Yes, the family, of course, has a very big influence. And do you think a school or teachers have an influence on the parents? For example, if there is a girl who wants to be a car mechanic or something, and the parents don't really like this idea, do you think the school can talk to or integrate the family more to find the best way?
I think, yeah. But also students who want to become some, for example, car mechanic. It depends also on student. If he want to be then he can decide by himself to become what he want. But also, yeah, teachers and school also can help.
Thank you very much. That sounds very good. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Good. So it's true if we all work together to find the best way for the student who has chosen a special career or special wishes, then it's the family has a very big influence. We have to go back to this first, I think, where was it? The first point here. I think this is a very important diagram. Yes, the family has to be integrated and we teachers can do something, but it still depends on your personal wish and what you really want to do and whether you have the power and the motivation like you have, Hajin. I know you for a long time and I know that you've got that. Thank you very much for taking part in the conference. So the first part for today is over now. We are very well in time. So we will meet each other again at 1 o'clock. So we have a lunch break or a lesson today. My students and Hajin as well have lessons in between. So I hope you still have a good time and we meet each other again. We see each other again at 1 o'clock and then we will learn something about sustainability and recycling. Thank you very, very much. I think this went really well and I'm very, very, very proud of you. Thank you. Hello, Martin. Yes, we had to invite 2 other students who, so I'm a bit late, or am I not? No.
Okay. So it's exactly 1 year since last we meet in Finland.
Yes, it's true.
Would you like to see some 1-minute memories?
Yes, please do so.
I lost the video. You can continue.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know. It's crazy.
But I think Halvor and some students soon are ready to do this plastic show.
We have a three-phase AC electric motor here with a gear, axle that's connected to a knife inside the box there. The motor and the gear is bought, but the rest of the machine is built there at school by students. We have this gear to get the fast RPM from the motor to a much lower RPM and much more power. Then inside here, it's the knife that cuts the plastic, and we use this wooden piece to press the plastic down. We have this lid here to prevent any plastic bits to get in my face or my eyes. We have this safety switch that turns off the machine if the lid is open. Down here, under the knife, we have a filter, so all the pieces that gets through is the same size. It's a lot of friction between the plastic bits, and some static electricity then will happen. So we have a wire down in the bag to prevent it. The wire is connected to the metal frame that's connected to the earth. so we don't have any plastic bits on our hands when we get the plastic outside. So this is our injection machine. We put the plastic bits down in this part here, right here, and it gets heated up by the heat elements down here, which is controlled by these temperature regulators right here. The plastic has to stay inside for a couple of minutes to reach the temperature of 220 degrees before we can press down the piston here and fill the mold. This is one of the molds that we use. It's a quite simple design. It's 2 pieces that we just bolt together. We have 2 air holes right here, and when these 2 are getting filled with plastic, we know that all the area inside here is filled with plastic. This is some of the ice scrapes we have made. The design sometimes gets pretty beautiful, as you can see here, because of the plastic has different colors and everything. Of course, some mistakes happen when the piston isn't pushed down fast enough, and the plastics gets stuck in the mold. To change the mold, we have our RMTC system right here, which stands for Rapid Mold Tool Change. We use this because we need to get the mold. It needs to be pretty stuck right here, so we don't have any leaks from plastic, and we need to change the mold pretty fast because the mold gets pretty hot. When the plastic is inside the mold, we have to wait a couple of minutes before we can open it and start the process again. Now we're going to show you how the machine works. It's quite simple. Put a piece of PP plastic. We use PP plastic because you can find it everywhere, in lids, in your floor, and in hospitals and everywhere. PP plastic is actually also pretty easy to cut and form when it's hot. You turn the machine on right here and press it down. Then, when I open the lid, the machine stops, so no accidents happens. Then, you take the cutting of plastic right here, inside here, and close. Then push down. Switch it form. Start off here. Yep. Then we use our RMTC to change mode. It's pretty simple. Just open up here, take away this one, and the machine is ready. Then we have to press down pretty fast to get the mold filled. But we have to wait a couple of minutes before the plastics gets hot enough. Any questions so far? Any questions?
Yes, I would like to have a question. Can you mix different thermoplast materials, or do you have to use just one kind for the machine to work?
Yeah, we just use one kind, PP plastic.
So PE plastic is not possible to mold?
Maybe. We haven't tried it.
Okay.
Yeah. The problem is different types of plastics gets the melting temperature is different. So we need the same type of plastic to get a good result. As we can see right here, maybe this will be a good batch. We have to put a block of aluminium right here to prevent any plastic from getting out of the machine.
Tror du å ta en regelplan? Ikke varm? Okay.
We think this batch may be no good. We open the mold quite simply. shit. Ja. Du må vise oss etterpå. Ja. This is what happens when the plastic isn't hot enough. This is what happens when the plastic is hot enough. So, any more questions?
Yeah, the plastic you used, that you had in your hand, was very few. How much plastic or PP do you have to throw in to get a good mold? Or to make that mold that you did right there good?
I had to fill the whole mold. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough question. I guess the volume of one ice scrape is pretty much the volume of this one, even though this is bigger, but it is thinner. So I guess one of these can be one ice scrape.
And around the plastic is like a painting. Do you have to clean it a little bit to make it make the functions or?
Yeah, exactly. You have to. Yeah, you have to clean the plastic because otherwise there will be chemicals or different kinds of grease, fat from food, for example, because they use polypropylene PP plastic in all kinds of boxes and food wrapping. But you need to you need to clean it, otherwise the plastic wouldn't melt into each other properly. So that's important. Any more questions?
Can I say something from the classroom in Norway? Can you explain to people why we need ice scrapes here? Maybe not everyone uses that.
Yeah, maybe our Spanish friends also have a problem in the morning. Friends also have when you're getting your car in the morning, it's in the winter right here. It's covered of ice in the on the glasses. So we use this ice scrape to scrape the ice off to get a view from inside the car. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah. Is it maybe possible to put some fiber reinforcement into the plastic? Did you think about that?
We hadn't thought about that, but yeah, it may be possible.
I have another question too. Can you do more complex molds, or do they have to be simple so that the mold is going to be good?
Yeah, of course we can. We can do more complex, like other forms or figures. We just have to make a mold first. But an ice scrape is a pretty simple first project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question for the mold. How do you manufacture the mold? Do you use a CNC machine or you just do it by hand?
Yeah, you get a close-up look right here. It's a machine who had done the job for us. You can do it by hand, but to get it perfect, you have to do it with a CNC machine. Yep. We are trying now to make a good batch, maybe.
You have a problem to keep up the heat, or to so
problem.
that the plastic doesn't get hard when it gets into the mold.
The forms are aluminium, so they get pretty cold pretty fast. So maybe if you have something to heat up the mold before we use that.
Yes, it was what I was to say. If it's possible to heat up the mold so that the plastic gets like really good in there.
Yeah. Machine isn't perfect, and maybe some plastic that's stuck in the tube right now, and but the idea works pretty well.
Du kan se hvor mange vi kan producere. Det er bedre, ikke? Ja, visst. Det er ganske stilig.
Men hvis det kom noen griser litt plastikk om at det tetter seg igjen helt på tuppen.
Det koster 2-3 ganger, men ikke bare med en gang koster. Det koster bare vind.
Det skal gå så snart. Det er egentlig.
Det er det. The shop that controls that machine.
Oh, that's how
Det var ikke bra.
Men det kommer jo ut der på gangen. Det går ikke ned der. Hva er det som går der? Nå.
Så blir det det. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. As you can see now, these more press way too much and some plastic.
This is proper overfilled.
Well, at least we got a proper mold. It will be a product for sure.
Er det det? Ja. Er det bare varmeformen først?
Ja.
Det er aluminium og varmeformen.
Det går egentlig greit når man bare kommer inn med det. Altså etter hvert så merker man jo når det er ut. Så kjører jeg bare. There we go. Let's see this one. Then we just use a knife to cut off the excess plastic. Let's close that. I want to bruke den. And in theory, we can use this plastic again to cut up and use again.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a limit to how often you can recycle the plastic, or can you just recycle it over and over and over again?
The problem is that there is a limit, because every time you heat it up, it will create fumes. So some chemicals will be released through like smoke or non-visible smoke, fume.
And so you lose some chemicals every time you heat it up. So you will also lose some abilities. So yeah, you can't really heat it up over and over again. It has limits. Yeah.
This is the ice cream we made right now. Works perfectly for the winter time. Any more questions? No more questions. We're done. I think we're done. Thank you.
And here are 5 students. You only see 4, but it's 5 students from another class of mine. It's, William, Simon, Samson, Pat, and Ahmed. And this is a little video that they made when we were working on different materials and the different traits of different materials and how that fit with what kind of use you have for different materials, and also sustainability. So how do we actually try to measure or evaluate the sustainability of different materials? And they will talk about that in this little film. So I'm trying to put it on and see if we have sound, and I'll adjust if not.
For robots made of aluminum. Hello, we are a team group of people from Norway High School. We are from the north part of Norway. We are in a place called Aust-lofoten. We are going to talk about sustainable development, the robot page cleaning, technology of aluminum properties. Sustainable development. A sustainable development of society is a development that meets the needs of today without destroying the ability of the future generations to meet their needs. UN organizations have goals to make the world better. And they came up with 17 goals, and they are focusing on how we're going to reach them. Aluminum properties.
Why aluminum?
Aluminum, it's light, it is climate efficient, usable material, it is flexible, it is relatively soft, it does not rust, it is solid, and the price is not cheap, so it costs around $100. Disadvantage of aluminum. It requires a lot of energy in production. It has high CO2 emission. The raw materials must be transported far, and it is expensive. The advantages of aluminum. It can be recycled. It's not a limited resource. Recycling aluminum scraps requires only 5% of the energy used to make new aluminum. In the mission, we had a mission to choose material. We discussed about choosing aluminum, stainless steel, and plastic. We thought that aluminum would be the best choice for multiple reasons. Our mission is to build the hull part of the robot, also known as the body. The meaning of this is to get the robot to clean the breach by programming it. Why we do this is because we care about the nature and the future of the planet. It is very important that we also care about sustainable development.
Okay, thank you very much. Here we learned again a lot about different materials, not only plastics, but also other materials that are useful and valuable to choose for all kinds of production and also robotics. So thank you very much for your teams showing us your fantastic plastic recycling machine and also the different statistics about plastics and aluminium and why we use different materials. Thank you, Marta, for your class and your students who have done that. Are there any questions now about these presentations, or the last presentation especially? Okay, if there are no more questions, then there's a little film that Leila and Konrad have made about sustainability. Again, we're talking about materials, but we talk about sustainability more in general as well. And I will try to present that film to you now. I'm in a different room, so I have the impression that the internet connection is better here. So I'll try. Wir gehen nochmal zurück an den Anfang. So we're starting at the beginning, and I hope now the sound will be there.
Hello, my name is Konrad.
Yes.
I'm from the LHB in Dortmund.
Ist da.
Fine.
We are dealing with wind power, hybrid cars, electric cars, and our CO2 footprint in our subjects. And we want to change something because we notice that we need to recycle more because our Earth is getting in danger because of our life and how we live it. And because of this, we talk about all these themes in our subjects.
And the project that we're in has to do with sustainability too. The goal of our project is that the robot we made collects trash at the beach, and we try to make the parts of the robot recyclable and out of recycled plastic, like the wheels or the platform. We don't know it yet, and the battery is 100% rechargeable. That's good for the environment, and we want to reduce our CO2 footprint.
Okay, so we've seen 3 different little films about sustainability, because that was one of our another major subject of this project, that the robot would not only collect trash, which is of course one very important aspect of sustainability, that we keep areas clean, that we look after them, and that we don't destroy nature. That's one very important point. And then we learned that this plastic can also be recycled, it can be melted, it can be used again, and interesting or useful other things can be made out of them. When we think of the film that Halvor and his group showed to us, and we have seen that different materials have different properties, and that their usefulness depends on their properties and how we use them and how we then also reuse them. And at the end, we also had these 2 students here, like Leila and Konrad, explaining this in a broader sense of the world. So I would like to know, where do you, two things I would like to ask you. And this is one thing: how can we generally, with this knowledge that we already have about substances and materials and their properties, how can we save the world? Yeah, how can we reduce the pollution in the world? And the second question is, how can this be realized? Well, at least a little bit. It's only a little robot that we are building. How can this be realized with our or your special robots? Please give me your ideas.
To the first question, I would say that maybe we can't directly change something in our household because we don't have the mechanical abilities to do that. I mean, we don't have the machinery to recycle plastic directly. We can sort the plastic out in different containers, but that's already a standard here in Germany. If you have 3 kinds of containers or 4. But I think that the experience that we made with Erasmus and the EU project helps us maybe to include this knowledge into our future job, so that we can maybe, when we do projects on some companies, we can use that to use the plastic or the recycled products in other products that the company produces, or general in the companies. So that in the future we change that in a bigger aspect.
Okay, so you see the chance of changing something with your profession, with your future job. Yeah, good idea. Any more ideas how you in general can have more sustainability in life?
So I'm sitting here with one thought of how we might change, because it's probably difficult for us to save the world by doing this robot project, but it's more like a matter of changing our mindset, and that's what we're actually doing right now, because we're working on recycling plastic and collecting plastic which is a part of the future that we have to deal with this problem. And the other thing is that we have to ask for more products which are recycled, which contains recycled plastic, and that's our task, our responsibility, because we're consumers and we buy products all the time. And for example, like you students that are sitting here, do you know of any products that contains recycled plastic right now? Can you mention one product?
Ice scrapers.
Yeah, our ice scrapers is 100%. But outside the school, like, is there any product you know which have recycled material?
Milk cartons.
Milk cartons. Okay, yeah.
Soda bottles.
Some plastic bags.
Some plastic bags. Good. Anything else?
Soda bottles.
Yeah.
Some clothing. And you said
soda bottles.
Soda bottles. Those are recycled. Yeah. So we have a few products, but I think this is our responsibility as consumers. We buy the products, and we therefore can actually contribute to change something by asking for different or better products.
Yeah, and we also have a new thing coming up. It's this repairing industry. We have to repair more products. Use things for a longer time. Don't throw it away when it's maybe one part is damaged, and we throw the whole things away. And this repairing industry, I think that it's a new industry coming.
When we think about how sustainable products are, we need to think about the whole life cycle of the product. So starting with the raw materials, the production of the product, the transport to the shops and to the consumers, and the use of the product, and also the afterlife, what we've already talked about, the recycling and repairing of products. And it's so important what you say, Halvor, that we are, as consumers, we have actually great power to influence what we want to get.
I think it's so hard for us to find recycled plastic products from companies or something else, because the companies want to make their products cost less or not expensive, so they can take more profit out of that. And the problem is with recycled plastics that often it is for companies not so cheap to produce them. It's cheaper to just make new plastic and make that in a form or mold that than collecting old plastic, filtering that, make it that clean. Then you have to decide, like when you have a PET bottle or PE bottle, you have to filter that, and so that's very expensive for normal companies, so they don't use recycled plastic. And I think we have to change the mindset in that companies that maybe profit is not all. Profit is sustainable for a company. A company is built on the profit that it makes, but maybe a little bit less profit is not so bad for them, like capitalism and everything. So that they have to change their mindset so that our beaches are going to be clean and animals don't die on plastic.
Yes, thank you very much, Typhoon. That's really true. I can see Susanna Rielage wanting to say something. Yes, Susanna?
I would like to say something against Typhoon's remark, because it's pretty much our responsibility as consumers. For example, normal household plastic like bottles for shampoo, for shower soap, for liquid soap for washing. Very often, if you read the label carefully, you get a lot of bottles that are already made from maybe 80% recycled plastic, or some even from 100% recycled plastic. And maybe they're about 2 cents or 5 cents more expensive than the very cheap discount brands. But then that's our responsibility when we all are willing to buy only, for example, soap, liquid soap that's in recycled plastic bottles. Then, of course, the companies will produce them because they produce what we will buy.
Yeah, but not everyone has the knowledge about plastic and that it's bad for nature, basically, if you don't use it right. So when people go to the store, they want to buy the product that is the best for them, maybe the cheapest or the best specs, so they are not ready to spend more money to buy maybe a bottle out of fully recycled plastic. So I think we have to set rules for companies. When they make a product, they should use the most recycled plastic that they can, or less plastic.
Yeah, maybe both is a good way. The first way is that we as consumers have big influence on what is produced. As Susanna said, if we want more recycled products, they will produce more recycled products, but we should also have standards that should be kept, and then maybe that we need some laws that these standards can be kept and still so and so many percent of the material is actually recycled. I think it could also come from both sides, but of course you are all right. We have a very big influence as consumers, and if this project has already helped us a little bit to change our consciousness, I think Halvor is completely right by saying with a little project like this, of course we can't change the world, but I think if we have learned more about materials and which materials are recyclable and how easy or how difficult it is to do that, then I think we've understood quite a lot, and that is one step towards a better or a different behavior with these things. And I think, even if we only, realize the tiny little aspect, for example, like the battery, which is recyclable, as Leila said in the film, or we used some plastic that has been recycled, I think then we are on the right way. It's just a symbol. It's just a symbol within this robot to show that things are possible. And if we can think about them more and being more creative, then we are on a good way. I think Susanne Rielage also wanted to say something to that, I thought. So it's only a symbol. What we've done now is we have informed ourselves, we've worked with these different materials, and I think we have tried to integrate some symbols of sustainability, like recyclable batteries and plastic, and how to do this. I think that's
Gisle wants to say something.
Okay. Yes.
It's me.
I can.
Just a comment on what's possible to do that can help us as consumers to choose the products that are more sustainable is to push for regulations on product labeling. So putting labels that tell something about how sustainable a product is on the actual product will help us, for example, in the shopping for shampoos, and we can actually look at the labeling on the bottles to see which one is more sustainable if those labels are used across different countries, and you can find information on what the label actually means somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. This is exactly this development coming from both sides, from the consumer, but also from the authorities. And that would be a great idea to immediately understand what type of material is used here. Yeah, very good idea. Okay, any more ideas about sustainability in your lives or concerning this project? Is there anything that you would like to add? Suva Khan, I can see you want to say something.
Yes. Replace the plastic. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Replace the plastic, what we consume in general. That's the solution, what I think about sustainability.
Okay, so you think many things could be replaced by different materials, by other materials than just plastic? Yeah.
You can use plastic. You can use or you can replace a plastic bag into a paper bag. It would be also sustainable.
Yes, you can also use bags which are reusable. I think these 3 R's are the solution: reuse the things, recycle the things, and repair the things, as Gisela has already said, and not just as we did too much in the last, I don't know, 30 years, 50 years, to just throw them away. So I think that is a very good way, and I think you have really, you have really learned a lot about these procedures and these chances and solutions that we have got for to these pollution problems. Okay, now this first part of our afternoon session is over, so we can have a 5-minute break, and we can meet again in or maybe 5 to 10 minutes at about 2:10, if you agree. If you agree, because then we will talk about the criteria that we will employ for the presentation on the 3rd day. Okay, then I would say, do you agree with me that we have a break until 2:10?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for taking part so lively. So the next thing that we will do now is we'll have a look at the criteria that we will employ when we look at the different presentations on Wednesday, when you all present the robot and what it can do. You all know these criteria because we sent them to you, I don't know, about 2 months ago, I think. So that's nothing new, but I would still like to have a look at these criteria with you. And then it would be nice if we could choose 2 people from each school for the jury. And Spain has already given me the names. Okay, so I will now show you. So Raquel has made this table for us. This is why it looks so beautiful. Good. So we had different criteria because we agreed at the beginning that we wouldn't only have a look at the robot and what it can do, but also we have a look at different other skills that you have achieved and that you have shown during this project. Okay, just to make sure that you all know what we will evaluate on Wednesday. Okay, so first the robot itself, of course, it moves into the right direction would be good. It avoids obstacles. It picks up a cylinder. It takes it to the base, and something about sustainability. Now we all had problems finishing this robot because of Corona, because the whole project had to be prolonged and we had different students and everything. So this would mean that would be that perfect ending of the project. But of course, that's impossible. I don't think that any school can reach all the points here. But I think we can, we can still evaluate some approach of doing this. Yeah, so we will see how many points the robot can get when we look at it and how it moves, or if it moves and things like this. We can also give points for the picking mechanism, whether we think it's a good idea here. Yeah, we have to change this list of criteria a little bit and not to be too strict with the groups. Okay. Are there any questions about this first part of the criteria list?
I would have a question in general, Susanne. How many points are awarded? Is there only 1 and 0 points, or does each jury member has, maybe there are 4 teams, maybe have 3 points and can divide them, or how did you think about that?
Yeah, we thought that each of these sub-points, it moves, it avoids, and so on, would be 20 points. Yeah, so that this one headline for the robot itself would be 100 points. So you can see that students have a variety of points that they can give. So it's not only 1 or 0, they can give up to 20 in each of these categories. And so we have, we also talked about this yesterday, Raquel and I, that we think the group, the two people from the jury of their own country, so of the robot's country, so to say, should not give any points. Only the other jury members, just the jury members who were not in the group, give the points. But each category, it moves, it avoids, it picks, and so on, can get up to 20 points in total, and the groups have to agree. The numbers will be counted together. And then we have 100 for the robot itself, 100 for intercultural teamwork maximum, 100 for ICT competences, and so on. Do you agree to that? We can still change it. I mean, we have only listed the categories, and we had some suggestions, Raquel and I, but we can, of course, fix this here together. It's no problem.
Is it each country have their own color? Is what meaning, and two juries from each country, or?
Yes, exactly. That's right. Yes, I think we decided on that in one of the last team conferences in November or December, I think. Yeah.
So each country have 2 juries or 2 jury members.
He said, how does the students can work as a jury? How do they can
They will
work
go.
as a jury? That's why
they will go into a breakout room. Yeah. If we have the names, then they can go into a breakout room, and then they can decide on the points they want to give. Or they can all do it single without speaking to each other before. And Raquel has got a way to, we can share this document. We can share this document, and the jury can fill in their points here. And then it will calculate itself.
But we aren't supposed to judge our own robot.
To the last question from a student, I think. The question was if the jury will give points to their own robots. And I think the answer is no to that.
Yeah, this is what Raquel also suggested, and I think that's right. Yes, so they shouldn't give points for their own robot, just for the others. If you all agree, then we can fix that.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
We should also have a voice here, but we have to decide on how much weight this vote. How high is the value of the points that the teachers can give?
I guess we can do that without you. I mean, I don't want to be mean or something like that, but I guess we can be fair. So, I mean, I am not able to vote for my robot, so I guess that's fair enough, and we don't need the teachers to watch.
Okay, that's an interesting opinion. Johannes, you're the next one.
I think that the teacher's opinion should be like a quarter of the complete rating of the robot.
Okay, so a quarter for the teachers. So Zubakan, you are the next one.
For my opinion, I would recommend the students. You can, so the students can learn how to evaluate this evaluation.
We have 2 different opinions from the students in Norway.
That's great. Can you tell them to us?
Otta is speaking first.
I think the students should choose alone how many points is given. Because I agree with the other student who spoke before, I think it's good learning to be able to evaluate each other's projects.
We leave it there. They agree.
I have one question about the judgment.
Go ahead, Typhoon.
So there's, I think, no problem with judging the robot itself because we can see it and we can present the robot. But for the other things, like for intercultural teamwork, ICT competence gain, team performance at the final presentation, only for intercultural teamwork and ICT competence gained, we can't really watch into that, and I don't know how we should judge that with points.
Yes, but we have to make a decision for this. We have heard about the students, and I think I agree with the students. Let they decide, and let they have the final word of this. They have been in a project, and they have the learnings, and they have do a lot of things. So they can, yeah. And I think there will be a fair way to do it. No teachers, only students. We can evaluate between the teachers as well, but not in this competition.
What about Finland?
I think the students can decide. I don't think we need the teachers here.
And I would trust all of you students, I've seen you now for more than 2 years, that you will be fairly fair. And from my experience, students tend to be much more strict than teachers when they evaluate their own work. So I would really agree with Gisela and say, we teachers won't have a say in that.
Yes, I think the teachers can have a saying in this, but they have the same vote as the students.
What about like a 10% for teachers?
That's fine for me.
I would say it's okay if the teacher would have 10% because then they are actively in that project too, and they have like ability to do something in that part, so they can integrate themselves too.
Whoever agrees that the teacher should have 10% will raise their hand. Maybe that's easier than asking everybody in the room.
Ja, men som den digitala har man.
Of course, for the Norwegians and Finnish, we have to count your votes more. You have to give us your votes.
Physical hands.
Count your hands in your room.
And 1 plus 4. 1 plus 4 was the Finnish, and 1 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. So this is decided then. 10% for the teachers. Okay, good. Then we come to the next point. Of course, another very important aim in this project, if not the most important aim, ICT competences. And of course, you had ICT competences already when you were at the beginning of that project, but you also learned a lot in different fields. And these are the fields that we try to list up here, like communication tools used, like what we do today, technical design of the robot. How did you do that, like with CAD, or did you use these tools? Then data processing in general. Did you exchange data with other schools? Did you upload things on e-twinning data things? Yeah. Then the programming itself, the coding. What did you learn there? And the automation technology in general, because we learned a lot about automation technology in general, and we will even learn more tomorrow when we speak to Mr. Rielage, who is very important in the management of the Bayer company in Dortmund, and he will explain automation processes. And we saw automation in hospitals. We even saw the little robot dancing around there in Finland. And so this is more the general knowledge about automation and how it is applied in a working environment. Okay, any questions? Good. Okay, so the next part of this criteria list is the team performance at the final presentation. Yes, so you have to present on Wednesday. You have to present your robots, and it's not only what you produce and how you have come to this decision and to this project and all the process aims here, but this is now a different very important task that you can also present your product or your robot in a nice way. So the roles in the presentation, is only one person presenting, for example, or maybe are you sharing it, or the organization of information, how you have structured your presentation. Then the use of English as a lingua franca, which means as a language to enable communication at all, like for simple communication, a tool, lingua franca, and English is the most important lingua franca in the world. Then the communication skills in general. Do you talk to the audience? Do you keep like an eye contact? This is difficult because we don't know whether we'll have a stable camera connection here. So you can also speak to the audience in a different way. You can give an introduction, say hello. We would like to present your robot, things like this. So how do you communicate with the audience? And yeah, body language, free speaking, body language, if we have a camera, if it's possible. And if not, then we will concentrate on free speaking. Do you have to read everything from a paper, or is it possible for the group who is presenting to present everything free without reading it, just explaining it and telling us what the robot can do? So this was this point, team performance at the final presentation. Is there anything that you would like to ask in this respect? So then I scroll down a little bit more. Team leaders. This is now the teachers who were leading the teams. You remember when we were in Norway, we fixed a team leader for each team. Then there were international teams. Then we didn't know then that we would have to change that because we didn't know about Corona. But anyway, these team leaders are still team leaders, even if they now lead their own international team. So how did they interact with the team? How did they organize work phases or support the students? Did they create a positive learning atmosphere? You know what I mean, I hope. And were they flexible and adaptable? That means, did they adjust to new situations, new problems? Well, and I think this year with all the Corona problems and being at school and being off school and lockdown and all these difficult situations, I think everybody had to be very, very flexible. And I think I can say from what I've seen and heard that the leaders were really flexible, adjusting to the situation, and the students as well, of course. But this is what is meant here, the behavior and what the team leaders did. And here, of course, the team leaders, like the teachers, cannot give their points, because that would be unjust if they then gave their own behavior points. No points for teachers in this category, or no points by teachers, being given by teachers. Okay. Do you have any questions concerning this list? If you don't, then I go back into the conference. I think everybody's got it, or do you want me to send that to you again? Do you want this? I think you have it, but if you want to have it again, also I can also send it to you via email, so if you like.
Yes, if you can share it in Teams, or send it in an email, so make sure that everybody have it, and then I will share it in our Teams group.
Okay, good. So we will share it. I mean, on the day we can share it anyway. Wait a minute, I have to switch off my screen here. Yeah, so on the Wednesday we will all share it anyway, because we will go on Freigeben, which means that all the groups can use it. But I will send it to you beforehand so that you can have another look at it. Okay, so are there any more questions about this criteria list, or is it now fixed? We have fixed now that the teachers have a 10% weight of giving their votes and evaluating the process, and all the rest will be done by the students, and students only evaluate performances of the other groups, not of their own groups. Okay, good. Then we have to now find the jury, and we said that we would have 2 students from each school. I've got the Spanish names here. Yeah, so if you can type it into the chat, do so, or tell me the names and I will write them down for the other teams.
So Raquel, I'm Raquel from Spain.
Raquel, hello. Yes.
I have been listening, yes. I just wanted to point out that if we are to change the percentage of the vote, of the teacher's vote, this must be changed into the spreadsheet before we can share it.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
But you suggested 10%, and this is what we have decided now again as well.
Okay, I'll check it anyway today.
Okay.
I'll check it. Okay.
Thank you. And your
Okay.
two, yeah, and your jury people are Juan Carlos Cotilla and Sergio González.
Yes, they are. But I think they will be representative for everybody because we will be together and we will be, I think the students will be talking, but they will represent.
They are representatives. Okay. Yes, you can also do it that way. Yeah, so these two students that you mentioned now, for me, they are the representatives, and of course they can ask their fellow students about the number of points to give.
That's it.
Yes, I think so. That's a good idea. Okay, so yes, so Kari, give me the names. They are the most difficult names. So in Finland, I think. So if you give me the two names of your students who are the representatives for giving the points on Wednesday.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Pauli Toivonen, first name.
Yes, okay.
Toni Tikander. Tony Tikander, yes.
Okay, and yes. Toivoli, what is his name, first name?
You can see on the list here.
Ah, yes, okay.
Pauli Toivonen.
Ole, yes, okay, I remember. Thank you very much. Then for Norway, please.
Yes, we have the old students, and Simon and Patrick will be the Norwegian jury.
Okay, can you say the names, please?
Simon.
Ah, Simon, yes.
And Patrick.
Patrick, okay. I think they are in the list of students who have a certificate, so I can find the way how to write that properly. Okay. Yes, good. And Germany, I think, was Hannes, wasn't it, Susanna?
No, we decided on Svolvær and Leila.
Okay, Svolvær and Leila. Good. So, but of course, you can discuss that in your group when we have one presentation on Wednesday. You go into your national groups, and then you can exchange each other even with international if you like. And then the two representatives give the number of points. Okay. Good.
We already have a schedule for Wednesday. Who should present first?
Yes, we have a schedule for every day. I've just got the Monday schedule here. Who presents first? Oh yeah, I know. In the mornings, I think the Spanish team presents first, then the Norwegian team, and then at 1 o'clock we have the Finnish team, and afterwards the German team will be the last team. The last team on Wednesday at about I don't know. 1:30, 2 o'clock, something like this. About this way of evaluating the groups and everything, the names and the percentages or so, I will send you a little report, and Raquel will check on this criteria list again and send it to you, or I don't know, share it with you. We can do that now as well. Okay. Any more questions? Thank you anyway. It's a long day. It's 4 hours of constant work, a little 5-minute break, but I think you've done a really good job, and I'm very thankful that so many people gave their opinions here and took part in the discussions. That's really great, and I think I'm very happy about this first day, and even if there were technical problems, I think we've done a really good first day here together. This is my impression. Thank you so much.